Hello and welcome into another episode of Locked On Wolves. It's the post-game pod from the Timberwolves loss to a shorthanded Grizzlies team. Why Chris Finch pulled the shoot on the bench in this game. Next.
You are Locked On Timberwolves, your daily Minnesota Timberwolves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Wolves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Happy Thursday, everybody. Timberwolves lose to the Grizzlies on Wednesday night. This is the post-game pod, and there's a couple. We're going to do three big things right off the top. Like my three big takeaways from this game. We're going to start with some miserable offense from Minnesota. We're also going to talk about Chris Finch completely just, giving up on the bench after a miserable stint for his young bench unit in the third quarter. Of course, the Wolves still shorthanded. No Anthony Edwards, no Mike Conley. That does matter. But the Grizzlies did not have, take your pick, John Morant, Cam Spencer. Brandon Clark played in his first game of the season for Memphis, but, wasn't super effective, didn't play that much. This was still, make no mistake, a Grizzlies team that was woefully shorthanded, that really only had 8 NBA caliber rotation players. And guess what? Same with the Wolves. The Wolves' depth is just not where it needs to be. Chris Finch knows that and thought this was a game he was going to be able to get away with playing those guys. And things really took a turn for the worse in the third quarter. So we're going to dig in on all that on today's show. And we'll do the three big things off the top. We'll close later with individual studs and duds as well. A big thank you for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. That includes YouTube as well as all of your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Locked On Wolves. Okay. So, already kind of set the stage. This was, we could just call this the Jock Landale game. Jock Landale dropped 20 and 10 against the Wolves in this game. Jaren Jackson Jr. was really good. Really, really good. Dominant defensively. And Jock Landale, those were the two guys that killed the Wolves. Obviously, lots of ongoing injuries for the Grizzlies. We talked about this on yesterday's show. No Zach Edey, no John Conchar, guys who have been out for a long time. There's some guy, Ty Jerome and Pippen. Those guys have been out all season. But no John Morant in this game due to an ankle sprain. No Cam Spencer for personal reasons, who's been really good for them off the bench over the last few weeks. This was the Jaren Jackson Jr. show, and Jock Landale is really who buried the Wolves on the offensive end of the floor late in the game. Like, Jock Landale was one of the best offensive players in this game, and Jaren Jackson Jr. was the best defensive player in this game, bar none. I want to start with the Timberwolves offense because, well, actually, you know what? Let's start with the bench. Let's start with the rotation and what happened in the second half of this game. Minnesota's up 1 at halftime. Third quarter, Timberwolves build a 6-point lead. Actually, a 7-point lead. No. It did get up to 8. It was an 8-point lead. I'll tell you, you know what? It was actually a 9-point lead before they fouled. They committed a couple fouls on consecutive possessions down the floor to make it a 6-point game. When Rob Dillingham and TJ Shannon both came in the game with about 5 minutes left. Dillingham came in at the 5:50 mark, and then in the third quarter, and then Shannon came in at the 4:58 mark. Okay, so about a minute apart. When Shannon comes in the game, it's a 6-point game. A 6-point game with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Minnesota's up by 6 after having just been up by 9. By the time that TJ Shannon and Rob Dillingham left the game, which was only 2 minutes later at the 2:56 mark, Memphis is up by 5 points. The Grizzlies went on an 11-0 run in just over 2 minutes. And immediately, TJ Shannon and Rob Dillingham leave the game, never to return. Now, I say all of this. If you go on X and look at my account at Beecken on X, I posted in the second quarter, something along the lines of good stint from Shannon and Dillingham. They needed the energy they provided in this game. They were pretty good in the second quarter. Like, Minnesota was so sluggish in the first quarter, was really sloppy. We'll talk about the offense here in a little bit. But the second quarter needed that injection of energy that they did get from the young guys on the bench. And then in the third quarter, it was the exact opposite. It was like the starters came out, built this 9-point lead up from one at halftime. The FanDuel Sports Network is running graphics about how the Wolves have been the best second half team in the NBA over the past couple of weeks. Like, it's all happening, right? They're up 9. This is going great. And then the bench comes in, and they're not ready for prime time. They're not ready to go in the third quarter. And what happens? Well, we get almost immediately, Dillingham commits a foul. Nas misses a bad three-point, like a just kind of walk-up three, not a good shot right after that. Dillingham gets the offensive rebound, immediately turns it over. Couple possessions later, TJ Shannon comes in. DiVincenzo misses 2 free throws. Grizzlies get the ball. Jock Lando, wide open three, knocks it down. Next time down the floor, TJ Shannon misses a layup. Next time down the floor, Rob Dillingham misses a shot. Wolves call timeout after a KCP 3. Kentavious Caldwell Pope 3. And then Nas misses a 3. The Grizzlies miss a bunch of shots, but get a ton of offensive rebounds. TJ Shannon misses another ill-advised shot. Timberwolves called, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. makes a 3. It's now a 5-point Memphis lead. They take those guys out. So they combined, Shannon and Dillingham combined to go 0 for 3 with a turnover and 0 for 3 for the field with a turnover, and I think they each committed a foul in that 2+ minute stint. Not great. And so what happens here? This is the challenge Chris Finch has. He has to play the guys who he has on the roster, and they have to play to get better. But when they play and don't play well, go back to the post-game presser that Finch gave after the win against the Kings on Sunday, or whatever. Yeah, I think that was Sunday, where he said, look, if the role is 10 minutes a game, they have to produce in those 10 minutes. That did not happen in this game. And sure enough, Shannon gets 11 minutes in the game. Dillingham gets 11. Jalen Clark plays 9. None of them played well, ultimately, because the third quarter was so bad. I actually thought Clark was kind of he was his typical active self defensively, but I thought Shannon and Dillingham played well in the second quarter, but the third quarter was so demonstrably bad that it kind of undid everything they did in the second quarter. And then, like I said, they both went out with just under 3 to play in the third quarter. Neither one of them played the rest of the game. Jalen Clark had a couple cameos in the fourth quarter on defensive possessions when the game was relatively close late, but it was basically starters plus Nas Reid. And Finch was kind of picking and choosing. Is it Bones? Is it Nas? Down the stretch, he went 3 bigs. He went Nas Reid, Jaden McDade. Excuse me. Well, yeah, McDade was on the floor too, but Nas Reid, Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle on the floor together when the Timberwolves were getting beat on the glass and not making any threes. Just that's the trick with what Chris Finch is. That's what Chris Finch is trying to solve for now. Is I've only got, especially with Conley and Edwards out, he's got 6 reliable guys, and that's including Bones Highland, who was okay in this game. I don't personally the Bones experiences. I don't know that that's my favorite experience. Just the he only had 2 turnovers in 34 minutes, but the sheer number of near turnovers, not to mention 2 of 9, he squeezed the trigger on 9 threes in 34 minutes. But so if you take Bones out of it, because I'm still not really sure what we have with Bones, that's 5 legit NBA guys that played in this game for Minnesota. And I'm not saying that Clark is not, period, and I'm not saying Shannon is not, period, and I'm not saying Dillingham never will be. But right now in this game, those guys did not look like they belonged. And Chris Finch clearly wasn't sure about that against a shorthanded Memphis team. And we can blame Chris Finch for a lot of stuff, but if he puts them on the floor and they don't produce, at some point that's on them. And this seemed to be yet another good spot for those guys to earn, especially after the second quarter stint, earn their keep in a sense, right? Show that, hey, we're worth playing these at least 10 and grow it to 12, grow it to 16 minutes a game, especially with no Mike Conley. Because then I just talked about this the other day. When Mike Conley comes back, now does Bones Highland have his role? Or does Shannon or Dillingham play so well that they have his role? And now it's man, it would have been nice to calm things down in the third quarter. It could have been, Mike Conley wouldn't have been a bad thing in this game with how bad the offense ran. And look, Mike Conley looks washed defensively, and he's afraid to shoot the ball in offense. Honestly, that's what it looks like. I know he's not actually afraid, but he doesn't want to shoot 2s. And at the same time, the on-off numbers and the eye test and whatever, plus, minus, whatever you want to look at, will tell you the Wolves offense is better in general with Mike Conley than with whoever else they're going to try it out there instead of Mike Conley, because it moves better with him on the floor. And the ball sure moves when Bones Highland's on the floor. It just moves all over the place. And I'm not saying Bones shouldn't have a role moving forward, but they missed Mike Conley in this game, like straight up. And Chris Finch understandably does not trust what this rotation looks like when they're shorthanded. All right, I want to next get into some of the offensive issues that Minnesota had, the terrible shooting of the second half. We'll talk about all that here next. Today's episode of Locked On Wolves is brought to us by Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools. Or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode of Locked On Wolves is brought to us by our friends at Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs exist for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Also, Gusto has automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits to help you save hours every week. Plus, knowing you can reach certified HR experts at any time gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months free. 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. Big thank you once again for making Locked On Wolves your first listen of the day. And of course, thanks for helping to make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We could not do it without you. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Wolves with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. You can go to lockedonwolves.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. We'll talk later in the show about another opportunity related to the new Everydayer Club. Again, you can sign up now at lockedonwolves.supercast.com. Okay, so my 3 big things. Number 1 is the rotation. Up 6, bench disaster. Down 5, 11-0 run for Memphis in about 2 minutes of gameplay. That's number 1. Number 2, how completely disjointed the Timberwolves offense was in this game. And I would say it was sloppy early, but the Wolves made enough threes to kind of paper over some of that. And there were a lot of, as I mentioned, with Bones Highland, he wasn't the only one, a lot of near turnovers for the Timberwolves. Now, they ended up with 18, which is obviously far too many, but there were probably another 5 to 7 plays that should have been turnovers. So I would say early on, the good shooting in the first half kind of made up for all of the issues that they had shooting the basketball, or I should say all the issues they had being sloppy with the basketball in the first half. The second half, they didn't shoot the ball well, and that it compounded the problem. The fourth quarter, Minnesota missed their first 8 3-point attempts. They made one in the Dante in the deep corner when the game was all but over. It put them down 4 with like 5 seconds to play. In the third quarter, the Timberwolves were 3 of 13 from 3. So, do the math, in the second half, Minnesota was 4 of 22 from outside the arc. 4 of 22. That will not cut it. 4 of 22 in the second half. And again, they missed their first 8 shots in the fourth quarter from outside the arc. The offense wasn't much better in the first half. They just made those threes. And that's what happened here. Very frustrating that the offense was as disjointed as it was. We already talked about the lack of Mike Conley contributing to that. Julius Randle missed, what was he, 2 of 10, I think, in the first quarter. He somehow shot the ball 10 times in the first quarter and only 11 the rest of the game. But he was 2 of 10 in the first quarter. He had 3 turnovers and 3 assists. He had 0 rebounds at halftime. Julius Randle did. He finished with 5, but he had 0 at halftime. Not a good game for Julius. We'll talk about him in studs and duds. The offense in the first half was like basically fumble the ball around a little bit. It eventually rolls to Rudy, or we get fortunate because Memphis has also been sloppy. We get a fast break. Rudy gets a dunk. I think he had 3 first half dunks. Or, Nas or Bones or, Shannon knocked down 2 threes in that second quarter. Like, we're going to get a 3. We're going to make it. They shot over 40% from outside the arc of the first half. And then when the 3-point shot dries up and the turnovers actually are turnovers, then it's ugly real fast. Wolves ended up shooting just 40% from the field in this game and shooting just 30% outside the arc. But again, 4 of 22 from outside the arc in the second half of this game. Again, not going to get it done. Shorthanded or not shorthanded team, it's just not going to get it done. And remember, like, the Grizzlies have had a weird, between the suspensions, the injuries, it's been a weird season for Memphis. There's obviously a lot of talent there. They are a good defensive team. They're a bad offensive team. They're a bottom 3rd offensive team, and they're actually like 11th in defense coming into this game. So, like, we have to give them some credit for that. But again, shorthanded. And it's still no excuse for Minnesota turning the ball over 18 times in this game. On the glass, the Wolves did okay, but there were some pretty timely rebounds the Grizzlies gathered. The biggest issue for me was the turnovers and near turnovers, and then the missed 3-pointers in the second half. And also, actually, the missed free throws, too, which I don't like harping on missed free throws. Like, it seems overall pretty fluky. However, in the second half, the timing of when Memphis is making their run, like, DiVincenzo misses 2 free throws in the middle, sandwiched or within this big Grizzlies run in the third quarter. Misses 2 free throws. He goes 1 for 2 another time later in the second half. Gobert actually was 4 of 6. Like, that, we'll take that. Randle missed, I think, 2 free throws on a trip late in the game. And down the stretch, ultimately, it was like third and fourth quarter. I think Minnesota missed 6 of their 8. The 8 free throws they missed, 6 of them basically started midway through the third quarter when Memphis had that 11-0 run through the end of the fourth quarter. So missed free throws, missed 3-pointers. Like, basically from that point forward, Minnesota was what? One of, like, midway through the third to the end of the game, Minnesota was like, I don't know, 1 of 13, 1 of 14 outside the arc, and they missed 6 free throws. Like, that's going to do it on top of the turnover problems. And that's what happened down the stretch of this game. And in the first half, too, the offense wasn't good either. I mean, they were only up 1 at halftime. It's not like they blew a massive lead. It grew to 9 early in the third quarter, but the offense was just disjointed all night long. It's just one of the worst offensive performances. Obviously, no Anthony Edwards, right? But still, no flow to the Timberwolves offense. That's really it. I kind of lumped together my second, my third 3 big things into that second point. So really, it's the rotation, and it was the bad offense. The defense, I guess my other thing would be the perimeter defense of this game was poor once again. I actually thought Rudy was really good defensively. Actually, he was pretty good on both ends in this game. I mean, Gobert and Jaren Jackson were both putting on clinics on their respective ends of the floor. Like, defensively, they were both very, very good. Obviously, both former defensive players of the year. So that was fun to watch. But other than that, like, Minnesota's perimeter defense continues to just really leave something to be desired. Like, McDaniels was spotty in this game. Randle, I actually didn't mind him guarding Jaren Jackson at times because of the lower center of gravity, the physicality. Like, that was okay. And I know Jackson ended up with a game high 28 in this game, but I thought he was fine. I continue to be unimpressed with DiVincenzo, with Highland, with Shannon, with Dillingham for the most part. Like, I would say effort level wise wasn't miserable necessarily, but I guess it's related, but like, just moving your feet and staying in front of guys, like, just the blow-bys are unreal how often it happens to this team. And then Rudy's left to clean up the mess. And then he's got to play the game of, do I come over to, contest a shot, or do I stay with my guy who's going to get a lob if I come over? And like, it's an impossible position to be put in. And the perimeter defense of this game was again poor. I did not think Rudy was to blame for some of the success the Grizzlies had in close. And Memphis did, by the way, win points to the paint by 4 in this game. Memphis was a +4 points to the paint, which is not great. You're talking about a shorthanded Memphis team. Brandon Clark, first game of the season, he only played 17 minutes, had foul trouble. Jaren Jackson had 28 points. Like Santi Aldama, like he didn't exactly kill the Wolves, but he did have 11 boards, and Jock Landale did kill the Wolves inside and out. He made 4 threes, had 10 rebounds. Like midway through the game, there was another FanDuel Sports Network graphic about how the Wolves bench was scoring, and in general, the Wolves bench is not good, and the Grizzlies bench is good. Well, guess what? Even with no Cam Spencer, even with, bench guys in the starting lineup, Memphis still had 4 guys on their bench that had double-digit plus minuses, like plus 12 or better. 4 guys off their bench. Crazy. Just crazy how much better that Memphis's depth was in this game than Minnesota, with both teams shorthanded. All right, let's close today by doing individual studs and duds. We'll do that here next. Today's episode of Locked On Wolves is brought to us by our friends at Rocket Money. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? Trust me, it can happen fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances, because managing your money should not feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Rocket Money finds subscriptions that you might have forgot that you were paying for and helps you clean them up quickly. This happened to me the other day. Something I thought I'd canceled, I hadn't. Rocket Money can clean that up for you. Maybe just seeing all your spending on one dashboard will make it easier to understand where all your money's going. Plus, the bill alerts and spending notifications will help you catch small things before they turn into big expenses. Take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, closing today with individual studs and duds. Not too hard in this one. In terms of the Wolves' best players in this game, I actually think Rudy Gobert was probably the best all-around player for Minnesota. Yes, he had 4 turnovers. It's not great. But I thought he played really well. 16 points on 8 shots. Take that, right? 16 boards, so 16 and 16, plus 4 assists and 4 blocks. You could deal with the 4 turnovers if the dude's going to turn in 5 stocks, 4 assists, and 16 boards. I thought Gobert was really good defensively. I thought he was generally right place, right time offensively, had a nice pass in transition, mostly caught the ball when it was passed to him. And as has been true with Rudy all season, he catches the ball so much better on the move above the rim than he does stationary and somebody's firing a ball at his knees. Like, it is a little weird how well he catches balls, like the Dante alley-oop to him in the second half, which is like a hard play, and then he misses like little dump-off passes. But anyway, I thought it was a really nice Gobert game. I thought he played very well. In an effort to find 3 studs, I'm going to give one to Dante DiVincenzo. 19 points on 16 shots, not ultra efficient, but we'll take 4 of 11 outside the arc, fine. The 3 missed free throws are big, not great. But believe it or not, Dante DiVincenzo was second on the team in rebounding with 11 boards. He had 19 and 11 plus 4 assists in this game and 3 steals and a block. So 4 stocks, 4 assists, 11 rebounds, including 4 offensive rebounds. I thought DiVincenzo was good. I know I already ripped on his defense, but like, I don't know. He wasn't the only one. So I thought it was fine. I guess Naz Reid is the third one. Naz had 16 points on 16 shots, not the efficiency we're looking for. He was 3 of 5 on 2s and 3 of 11 on 3s. Only attempted 1 free throw, which was an and 1 late in the game. Got a bit wrapped up in the officiating, which I don't think was great, but was very concerned about it late in the game, which clearly it was under his skin. 16 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. He did have 3 turnovers, but I thought he looked really comfortable offensively, and Minnesota probably could have done more with him, given how much the offense was struggling, just running. They tried to, actually. I think it was after a timeout, they tried to run a set to get him it was a pin down to try and get him a catch in the corner, in the left corner of the set. It must have been fourth quarter, and Randle fired the ball at him too hard, and it jammed. It was like with 4 minutes left, and jammed Randle's finger, went out of bounds. Just a bad turnover, and that was on Randle, not Naz. But I thought Minnesota could have tried more of that stuff to try and get Naz Reid more involved, because he was pretty locked in offensively in this game, and given the struggles they were having, to even really just get shots up because of all the turnovers, then to make shots, there were a couple ill-advised pull-ups in there from Naz, especially late in the game, which is why I say, like, if they call actual sets where Naz is the primary, like, that would have made a lot of sense. And again, they tried to on that particular, I think it was actually a baseline out of bounds play that they ran where he ended up in the corner, and they just messed it up. Duds. This is hard too to narrow. I usually only do 2 duds. This is a little bit difficult. Jaden McDaniels. I know he had 7 boards, 6 assists. He looked checked out in this game. He fouled out in 37 minutes. 13 points on 11 shots. I don't know. Just wasn't completely checked in this game, and they needed him. Similar vein, like, I don't know. I mean, I know I spent all that time earlier talking about the bench guys, but look, the Wolves were still within a point early in the fourth quarter, and within 2 points, 3 points with 5-6 minutes to play in this game. And the Wolves starters had every opportunity to win this thing. I got to go Julius Randle because of the terrible start. 2 of 10 from the field in the first quarter. Finishes 21 points on 21 shots. Again, terrible efficiency for the Wolves team overall in this game. Like, another way to look at this would be 110 points on 98 shots. Like, that's not good. 1 of 6 on threes. 2 of 4 at the line. A couple bad missed free throws late, or pivotal missed free throws. 3 assists to 3 turnovers. Just 5 rebounds. No rebounds in the first half. And Randle was a -7 in this game. So, yeah, I think my duds are McDaniels and Randle, mostly because to win a game without Anthony Edwards, those guys have to step up. They're supposed to be the second and third best offensive players right now on this Wolves team. They're supposed to be relied upon to drive the Wolves offense when Ant is off the floor, or in this case, unavailable completely. And they combined to go 13 of 33 from the field, 2 of 8 from outside the arc. 34 points on 32 shots. You can look at it that way. They combined for 4 turnovers to just 9 assists. They combined for just 12 rebounds. Like, just not the performance you're looking for from your second and third best offensive players. And that's what they got. And I thought they actually both competed defensively okay in this game, but the offensive end was bad. Now, we already did talk a lot about Shannon, Dillingham, to a lesser extent Clark. Like, those guys did not play well, but there was still a chance to win this game in the fourth quarter. And so I'm grading this on a curve a little bit based on expectations and opportunities the Wolves had to win this game down the stretch. And I can't point at TJ Shannon and be like, he's the reason they lost this game. We can point at the third quarter and the lack of depth and the rotation and say, this is why this game went from a 7-point lead to a 5-point deficit or whatever very quickly in the third quarter. But they had every opportunity to win still down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So that's why, I want to make sure that we're placing that more on the guys that more are expected of. And in this case, Randle and McDaniels. All right. That's all I got on this one. This is a really disappointing loss. And obviously winning the last 2 without Anthony Edwards is really nice, especially at the Warriors last Friday night. But now, guess what? You got to play the Thunder Friday night. It'll be fun. Home game against the Thunder, Prime Video, Amazon Prime game, 8:30 Central Time Friday night. It'll be a fun game. It'll be a tough game. And then Milwaukee at home on Sunday, and then the Knicks next Tuesday before heading to Denver for Christmas Day a week from today. So relatively difficult schedule coming up. 3 of the next 4 are the Thunder, the Knicks, and the Nuggets. Milwaukee minus, I mean, who knows? Given the way the Wolves have played, I'm pretty sure this is the second game the Wolves have lost to a below 500 team. When they played them. Portland's now below 500, but I'm sorry, they beat Portland. This is only the second time they've lost to a below 500 team this year. They lost that overtime game to the Kings right before Thanksgiving. That's it. Otherwise, they've only lost to good teams, but they've competed against good teams. They haven't been blown out. This is also interesting, and we'll talk about this another day. The only blowout loss they have this year is the Knicks game. I know the first Lakers and first Denver game ended up not being close, but those weren't really blowout losses. Like, they've been really competitive in all these games. Let's hope that continues. Let's hope they can at least split the next 4 with the Thunder, Bucks, Knicks, and Nuggets. If not, win 3 out of 4. I think that's on the table, especially if Ant comes back Friday. He hasn't played now in 9 days, so we'll keep tabs on that. We'll talk about that matchup on Friday's show, the Thunder matchup. We'll talk about what to look for and, look at some bigger picture stuff on Friday as well. A big thank you for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every single day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. That includes YouTube as well as all of your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Locked On Wolves. A reminder that you can do just get a last minute holiday gift. Or maybe someone keeps asking what you want. Make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted. And again, you can head over to lockedonwolves.supercast.com to sign up for the Everydayer Club. You can do that over at, again, lockedonwolves.supercast.com. Of course, Locked On Wolves is also part of that very same Locked On Podcast Network, your local experts on all the biggest stories. Once again, I'm Ben Beecken. This is the Locked On Wolves podcast. We'll catch you next time.